Welcome everyone to the ARM annual dinner. Most of you know me. I'm Michael Werner. I'm the co-founder and executive director of the Alliance. We have a nice dinner and a wonderful program for you tonight. But we wanted to start off with a special presentation. Every year, the Alliance makes an award which we appropriately refer to as our Legislator of the Year Award. And it's an award we provide to a member of Congress or senator that is particularly engaged in issues affecting our sector, that we see as someone who we can work with and understands the needs and the desires of the people in our world to develop treatments and cures and all the challenges that go with it. And so tonight I'm very pleased to present our award to Congressman Bill Foster, Democrat from Illinois. Congressman Foster has a unique, you'll hear, a unique background for someone who's in Congress. So first of all, in his business, he sits on the House Science Committee as well as the Financial Services Committee. What really makes him unique are the next couple of things I'm going to tell you. So first of all, he co-founded a company that was involved with theater lighting. He co-founded that company at age 19 with his brother. So obviously a young entrepreneur. He was a high-energy physicist at Fermilab for 20 years before running for Congress. And this data point is the one that I find most amazing, which is that when he first ran for Congress, his campaign was endorsed by 31 Nobel Prize winners. Seriously, that's good. So he is, we've been chatting with him. I have to say that he had asked to come to a lot of the program. Congressional business kept him away, but he and his staff, Samantha, who are here, have proactively reached out to us and to many of you to learn more about the technology you promote, to learn more about the science. He is a terrific advocate for science and for technological progress and for our sector. And for all those reasons, tonight I'm pleased to award ARM's Legislator of the Year to Congressman Bill Foster of Illinois.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to do the obligatory camera.
Yeah, we'll do that when you're done.
Okay, all right. Sounds fine. Sounds fine. Well, you know, I have to say that of all the risks that you face, probably nothing compares with the danger of handing a microphone to a member of Congress. So I and don't let me slow down any of your eating here. Whoa. Okay. And there's also an interesting measurement that we make at times like this, which is what fraction of my prepared remarks I will actually give. You know, as was mentioned, I am actually is there some way to, okay. I am actually sometimes introduce myself as representing 100% of the strategic reserve of physicists in the United States Congress. But in fact, it's a little bit worse than that. I am the only PhD scientist of any kind in either the House or the Senate at this point, which is an interesting statement. But it's really an honor for me to be named your Legislator of the Year. And I really want to emphasize how crucial I think your role is in ARM. Your ability to bring a wide variety of stakeholders together as to advocate for the shared priorities is really important, and I hope that you continue to make that a priority. Advances in biomedical technology are happening at just an incredible pace, and we need to make sure that our regulatory structures in the FDA and other places have the tools that they need to keep up with these breakthroughs. This is why I was proud to introduce H.R. 4669, the Advancing Standards in Regenerative Medicine Act. My bill, which is it's the House companion to the Senator Tammy Baldwin's bill by the same name in the Senate, would help ensure that the FDA is equipped to evaluate and to approve these breakthrough technologies. It would do this by directing the FDA to facilitate the establishment of a public-private standards coordinating body in regenerative medicine. Through this bill, the FDA would be instructed to work with appropriate stakeholders, including regenerative medicine manufacturers, clinical researchers, academic institutions, standard-setting organizations, and the National Institute of Standards and Technology in creating the standards coordinating body. The FDA would help to develop standards that would support the development, evaluation, and review of regenerative medical procedures and products. And finally, the FDA would be directed to issue guidance on how standards developed by that coordinating body may be used by the FDA regulatory review for regenerative medicine for advanced therapies. You know, as the last PhD scientist in Congress, I sometimes serve as a kind of a lightning rod for some of my science friends when something important comes up. This happened a couple years ago when I got the first of an increasingly urgent set of requests for meetings having to do with the development of CRISPR-Cas9 and related technologies, and the near-term possibility of germline editing. This was, this is something, technology that obviously offers great promise and has great risk. You know, it is in many ways the future of humanity, as is much of what you do and are developing in this room. And so I was actually very proud to be able to first have organize the first ever hearing on CRISPR-Cas9 and germline editing in the Science Committee, which I have been told was the best attended hearing of the Science Committee ever, which I view as an interesting and positive indication. I was also asked by David Baltimore to give the kickoff speech at the International Summit on Germline Editing that kicked off the year-long study by the National Academy of Sciences, because this is obviously something that requires international regulation, international control, or for sure an international discussion. I think when I look at comparable issues to human germline editing, the only thing that seems in the same ballpark is, say, the Non-Proliferation Treaty for nuclear weapons, where you need a strong and binding international agreement on what is okay and what isn't. And that I could use the whole night discussing what might or might not be the way we should go on that. But this technology, CRISPR-Cas9 and related gene editing techniques, also, in addition to the fear that could easily grip the public if an announcement comes out of, for example, Asia, that something premature has been done, it also holds great promise to cure diseases like sickle cell anemia, and that's something, because I want the public's first introduction to these technologies to be a positive one, so we don't have a bad reaction. I've actually had my office very heavily involved in trying to do what we can to help fast-track the cure for sickle cell disease, which is something that obviously, it's a life-transforming problem for those who suffer for it, and a disease that, because of those who suffer for it, has historically had a hard time getting its fair share of research funding. And so this is, so I've had Samantha Warren, you should, if you ever want to get my attention on something important, you'll find it's at least as important to convince Samantha of it. And this is, so I've had our office working very as actively as we can on the problems with sickle cell, sort of as much as anything else as a prototype for what you do with a very expensive cure. We sort of saw some of this with the Hep C cure and the initial negative reaction to that. If you, for example, find a sickle cell cure that costs a few $100,000, it will unquestionably save money over the course of the patient's life. But trying to understand who pays for what fraction of that when is a politically really difficult problem. Probably nowhere more so than in the insurance in the insurance side of things, where the fact that you have a one-year contract means, with an insurance company, means they'll have no interest in a cure that pays for itself over the course of a decade, but not in the year in which the cure is applied. So trying to get at these through thoughtful legislation is really key. So I really don't want to urge, I want to urge you to not underestimate the importance of your interactions with Congress. It's no secret that Congress is seriously lacking in scientific expertise. So it's critical that my colleagues in Congress hear from you, from groups like ARM, first off about the exciting work you can do and the potential benefit, and also the need for sensible regulation. Because this doesn't always happen. Their proposed bills like the Regrow Act that you may or may not have had presentations on today, introduced, I guess, in the Senate by my colleague Mark Kirk, who is sort of famous for jumping into a situation, making a lot of noise, and coming up with some not very sensible suggestions and walking away from it, where probably the last step is the only one we should be thankful for. But bills like the Regrow Act have a bunch of problems. It micromanages stuff that is not ripe for congressional micromanagement. It would probably put patients in danger by limiting the FDA's authority to withdraw a product that turns out to be unsafe. Well, I could talk for quite a while about it, but the way to improve it is to actually have conversations with members of Congress and with their staff, and so that's something it's just crucial. You here are the experts on all of this, and so you have to stay in touch with us. And finally, I want to close with one thing which is more personal. My brother has stage 4 esophageal cancer, spread to his liver. Fortunately, the tumor was sequenced. It's overexpressing HER2 and responding very well to first-line therapies targeting HER2. But those therapies are not expected to last more than a few years. And so the things that are being developed, the things that were talked about this afternoon for next line and potentially curative therapies are especially important to me. So from a personal point of view, I thank every one of you for what you're doing to make this very complicated organism we live inside work a little better and make lives a little better for every human on Earth. Thank you all.
Okay, well, thank you, Congressman Foster. Thank you, Samantha. I think you all got a glimpse just in a few minutes of what a tremendous leader for our industry and for science Congressman Foster is, and why he's so deserving of our recognition. So now everybody can enjoy their meal, and we'll start the program in a little while.